I'm not going to lie, Helldivers is in a bit of an interesting place, or let's call it state right now. We've seen the Galactic War stopped twice. The current major order is stagnant, and at times like these, it just does the body good to let it all out, which is what I'm going to be doing today. Don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom, but at this point, I need to be honest with myself and post my thoughts on what's going on here, and more importantly, what's expected. If you're new here and you want to help support the channel, the easy and free way is to hit subscribe and to ring the notifications bell. And with all that out of the way, let's jump into all the latest with Helldivers. Okay then, Helldivers, let's go ahead and get the regular stuff out of the way. We're here on the galactic map. We're talking the Galactic War, and I've got plenty to say about this in just a moment, along with some outside articles we're going to introduce into the discussion. But you can see over here on 𝗏𝗏, and yes, I am calling it 𝗏𝗏. We were hitting the missions there yesterday. Approximately 7,400 divers there. Low decay rate of only 1.5%. And we're almost at 87% liberated. So if you want to spend just a little bit of time over there on the rock today, we should be able to liberate it and add to that bug kill count. We also got an informational advisory that says, in the previous 24 hours, some personnel inaccurately reported minor errors in the functioning of their galactic map, specifically regarding major order progress and celestial body coordinates. Okay. These personnel are now receiving a full ocular function examinations. An investigation has been launched as to the cause of this widespread spike in ophthalmological issues. I actually pronounced that correctly. Wow. All other personnel should proceed operating as normal in accordance with normal operating procedure. And by the way, in case you couldn't tell, this video is completely unscripted. My IRL work schedule is just going to be bombing me today. So you're going to get just my raw, unfiltered thoughts about everything. But let's go ahead and take a look at our progress right now. And it's not looking so good. So in terms of the bots, we are roughly just under 500 million killed. We need 1 billion in a little over 2 days' time. That's going to be pretty tough. In terms of the bugs, we're a little over 1 billion right now, and we're being asked to kill 1.5 billion. All the Bile Titan kills have been accumulated. All of the Shredder tank kills have been accumulated as well. Kind of curious there that we've knocked out the Shredder tanks, but we have less than half of the bot kills. The DSS is way up in bot territory. I think you guys were going for an end around there. I haven't been paying attention to it, but kind of curious. It's up on Xenia Prime. But you can take a look at some of the bot planets here as well, like Ballistica and Mentoria. Low decay rates. It looks like the Helldivers are trying to take them completely out of this eastern bot sector, which is definitely a kind of ballsy plan to try and pull off. So kudos to you out there, divers, sending the DSS way up there to the edge of the map. I don't know if that was to create a little bit of chaos or if it was just an uber tactical maneuver. But yeah, that's the galactic map right now. I also took a look at the active Helldivers here on a Tuesday morning. We would normally see, I don't know, 50K. Right now it's at 30K. So our numbers are way down. 31,002 divers. In terms of what's going on right now with the wormhole, it's almost to 𝗏𝗏𝗏. I think we all know what's coming with that, so we're going to have to make plans for that. And today's personal or daily order is to kill 100 troopers. So obviously Joel wants to send you up into bot territory to spill some oil. And very quickly, taking a look at your Superstore reset. It's just under 2 days to go. You have the medium White Wolf with extra padding and the heavyweight Grenadier with engineering kit. Page 2 is going to bring in the medium weight Clinician with med kit, along with the lightweight Ravager, again with engineering kit. Actually, these two sets are two of my personal favorites in the entire game. And finally, page 3 is going to introduce the heavyweight Butcher with med kit, along with the tweener lightweight medium Titan featuring engineering kit. Sorry, no Killzone offerings again. I know I keep hoping for it. I keep checking for it twice a day. It's just not happening right now. But if you're interested in any of those kits, again, the Superstore, of course, only takes super creds. And finally, taking a look at the awesome Helldivers companion app. I always include a link to this one down in the video description and pinned comments. I highly recommend you favorite this site because there's so much invaluable information you can find here that you cannot find in the game. But what we're looking at right now are planets with low decay rates. And what this is telling me right now is that possibly Joel and Arrowhead see that there's not enough Helldivers logging on right now. Again, I said there's only 31,000. Normally there would be 50,000. I think there's some people just kind of holding off right now. They're a little bit bored with the missions that they're being tasked with. But you can take a look at the decay rates right now. Mentoria at 0%. Boar Rock, aka Snore Rock, at 1.5%. Darius 2 over in Bugsville, 1%. Blistica in Bottsville, 0.5%. Vogue, oh damn, Vogue again, 1.5%. Garharan, 0.5%. Grand Arant, 1.5%. Classa, 1%. 𝗲𝗍, 1.5%. I mean, it's pretty much, you got your choice right now. Buffet of bots or bugs. You can go hit either, and you can get some very low decay rates. Of course, that's completely dependent on how many divers we have currently logged on and how many divers are hitting that planet at the time as to how quickly we make progress, but you get the point here. You want those low decay rates, which means less headwind, less resistance that we're taking on. And by the way, there's also one squid campaign currently ongoing. It's on Bashir. It has just a little bit of time left on it. I am fully anticipating we're going to be losing that one by the time this video goes live. Moving on, and I've got a lot of thoughts as to what's going on with Helldivers right now, but this seems to be a topic that's flying around in the community right now, and I definitely wanted to address it in this video because I haven't prior, and this has to do with a developer statement that was made last week during a live stream, and GameRant has actually published a full article about this with the headline that reads, "The case for Helldivers 2 to revisit its scrapped 5-person squad plans." As always, I'm going to include a link to this one down in the video description. It's kind of a short read, and I'm going to skip around and kind of cherry pick certain moments that I feel are appropriate for this discussion. But first up, it says, recent reports indicate that early plans for Helldivers 2 featured 5-person squads as opposed to the tried and true 4-strong teams. The plans never made it past early development, while developers citing problems making the larger squads work with the objectives, enemy counts, and overall difficulty they were going for with the game. But with one full year of Helldivers 2's live service officially in the books, it may be time to reconsider expanding the ranks of Super Earth's finest. They go on to say, Arrowhead doesn't seem afraid to shake things up with the game's formula, and players don't even need to look at the original Helldivers to see it. The surprise edition of the Illuminate in December proved that beyond any shadow of a doubt, the update added a new faction and arguably more importantly, an entirely new type of biome for matches to take place in, urbanized city environments. But more than anything, the update showed the community that Arrowhead is willing to shake things up in a big way. Helldivers 2 will not always be the same game it was at launch when the developers are willing to go for the big swings. After that intro, GameRant goes on to expand on their 5-man concept by saying the best way to add an extra player to each game might just be to expand map sizes ever so slightly and up the enemy count. It would go hand in hand with those in the community claiming Helldivers 2 needs a difficulty buff. Increase the scale of the maps, increase enemy volume, and give players an extra slot on their teams to compensate for the upscaling of everything else. They go on to say, this wouldn't take too much effort on the balancing front. The enemies are already plenty hardy as they currently exist. Okay, so no buffs are needed for them on an individual level. I would tend to disagree with the generalization of that statement, but anyways, they continue on. The developers wouldn't even need to change the amount of reinforcements in a given lobby. 20 lives for a squad of 5 just means everyone's presets gets 4 respawns instead of 4. I think they mistyped it there. They would get 4 respawns instead of 5, upping the difficulty ever so slightly to reflect the added body on the team. But maybe Arrowhead doesn't want to change the core of the game. After all, there are still only 4 pods for players to enter on the Super Destroyer. Solid point there. Perhaps the 4-man squad is too deeply baked into the core of Helldivers 2 to permanently change anything now. This leaves room for new extreme mission types in Helldivers 2 that require larger than average amounts of force. I like where they're going with this. Let's check out what's next. When the Helldivers descended on Meridia to create the Dark Fluid and eventually destroy the planet, it was one of the largest in-game campaigns storylines to date. Okay, full stop right there. I was there on Meridia, day 1, minute 1, when those Meridia Dark Fluid Nuke the Hive missions first went live. Remember, they were bugged because the spawns and the actual breaches were coming up right on top of the drill. They eventually had to change it the next week, but that would be an interesting one for chat. If you were one of those OG Meridia divers that had to deal with those bugs and bring stun nades and the EMPs, leave me a comment and start it off with a black heart. So if you were one of those OG Meridia divers taking on the OG missions, start off your comment with a black heart and let me know what you thought of those. But let's continue on. It truly felt like a monumental effort by the community undertaking these new types of missions, working towards a very particular grand-scale goal over a few weeks. It was one of the best examples of Arrowhead's meta-narrative storytelling, making players feel as though they're actually a part of the Galactic War. I want to snag that statement. We're going to copy it, put it in the back of our brains for a little later in this discussion, making players feel as though they're actually a part of the Galactic War. That's a very poignant statement. And finally, the GameRant article finishes up. It says, in the future, these types of missions can be made even more special if Arrowhead temporarily increases squad sizes by 1 player. This would perfectly signify the importance of the mission at hand. The normal show of force of 4 divers just was not enough, so Super Earth High Command needed to requisition a 5th body for the never-ending meat grinder that is their war machine. As always, if you want to take a look at this GameRant article for yourselves, I'll include a link to it down in the video description and pinned comments. Now, concerning this topic of Helldivers moving over to 5-man squads, I posed this question to my community over on the YouTube channel, and this poll is about an hour old at this point, has 1,400 votes, and it's not as skewed in favor of it as you would think. Now, out of the 1,400 votes, 55% of those who voted say, yeah, they'd like to see the game move over to 5-man squads, as opposed to 45% who say, nay, let's stick with 4. So that's pretty close to a 50-50 split. And at least to me, taking a look at that possibility of a 50-50 split, that possible move over to what it could have been as a 5-man squad versus what we have now as a 4-man squad isn't as hot a topic as I think some people are making it out to be. I think players right now are enjoying what we have as 4. They see concerns with 5. Obviously, there would be performance issues. Would there be enough things to shoot at? Because right now on certain mission types, even with 4 players, there's not enough things to shoot at. So a move over to 5 would certainly stress the engine to its absolute limits, possibly past that. And I think this poll reflects it. And finally, I wanted to just drop my unfiltered thoughts into this discussion as to what's going on within the game since we took a look at that GameRant article. And I did point out again that statement, making players feel like they're a part of the Galactic War. And I'm going to drop one more infographic up onto the screen right now. These are the Steam player counts. Again, this is just PC. I've already commented on how many actual players were in the game earlier on. We were taking a look at the Galactic map, but here on PC, and we know the predominance of players are on PC for Helldivers, there are just over 29,000 players on the game right now. And to me, especially after that GameRant article, the current content within the game, and especially this current major order, is not making players feel like they're a part of the Galactic War. So, after that statement, let me expand a little bit. Example number 1, the 𝗏𝗏 space station. It took the Helldivers near 3 months of grind time to accumulate the necessary resources and major order after major order after major order to build the certain segments of our Death Star. And when it launched, it was a total disaster with the orbital bombardment. Now, it's been restructured into something that kind of exists within the game, but let's be honest, not many players actually engage with the voting system, and they don't even follow where the DSS goes or take advantage of any sort of those orbital effects that it provides because they just honestly don't give a damn what that thing is doing. Example number 2 of this is the Gloom. Now, I had to look this up because the Gloom's been in the game for so long. It actually arrived first day 1 into the game on August the 10th, 2024. Now, that's not Galactic Helldivers time, but that's calendar date. So we've had to deal with and watch the Gloom expand now for near 6 months' time. I mean, that is a major story point crescendo. What's happening with the Gloom? We would occasionally see things within our Helldivers dispatches talking about the Gloom this and the Gloom that, and we finally, a few weeks ago, got to venture into the Gloom, and we got our first glimpse of what was going on behind there, and it was freaking epic, right? The Predator strain bugs were there. We had these wicked fast stalkers and these buffed up hunters, and there was patrols everywhere on Helldive difficulty 10, and it was sick. Everyone loved it. We had to relearn the game. We had to rejig our builds. It was now about crowd control, and it was about speed and sustainability, and it wasn't the fact of just taking on everything that moved. I mean, you could try to do it, but there was just so much going on in there. Everyone loved the Predator strain. And then we got iteration number 2, which were the exploding bug strain, and it kind of fell flatter on its face. It wasn't a complete just pancake, but I have a feeling in the back of my head those exploding bugs were supposed to be something else. Like I commented a few videos ago, when we first hit the planet, the minute those things went live, if you got close to those clouds, they chunked your damage away. And then something changed when they took them offline and brought them back. But it looks like Arrowhead compensated a bit by really buffing up the heavy spawns. So we had Bile Titans everywhere. We had Chargers everywhere. Again, we had to rejig our builds. It wasn't about bringing light pen. We all had to bring heavy pen, and everyone had to kind of coordinate taking down these massive heavy spawns. And then, whoop, it was gone. The Gloom was gone. 6 months of building up to what was going on within the game. The Gloom this, the Gloom that. We had 2 major orders back to back, and now the Gloom is gone, and we're back over to, busy work. Accumulate this many resources with the bots. Accumulate this many resources with the bugs. Now, I'm not turning this into a Doom Diver episode here. I'm fully on board with Helldivers. I know Arrowhead is going to recoup their losses here. They're going to bounce back because it's always about, we're so back, we're dead. We're so back, we're dead. But what I want to avoid are these peaks and valleys. Now, I understand that the entire game can't be like a Michael Bay movie where it's just one set piece after another after another. There has to be some lulls in the action sometimes to kind of make those highs even higher. But it feels like we go from a little bit of high to just medium, 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 medium there for a while, and then we hit a high, and then it's medium or a little lower. And I want to see this just kind of progress into something like the GameRant article said, turn the game into something where we feel like we're a part of the Galactic War. Look back at some of the things that we've seen. For instance, there's no flying bugs, but we're seeing shriekers in the game. The studio's denying it, and all of a sudden, it's confirmed. Shriekers are a real thing. Or say, back when we had to, I think that the name of the planet was Tianquan or something like that. I think it was, where we had to go liberate Tianquan to receive our first mechs. And everyone was fighting like hell to get the mechs. And then we got the mechs, and we almost nuked the servers because everyone was bringing mechs in. Those are some big set piece moments. And those are the moments when Helldivers is functioning at its best. And here GameRant was taking a stab at it by trying to do something to kind of juice up the formula. Hey, let's add on another player, a 5 or a 5th player into a squad for these extreme difficulty missions or something. We need this within the game because those player counts, again, reflect that we're just being sent to accumulate resources and to kill things. And that does not, in my humble opinion, make players feel like they're a part of the Galactic War. But anyways, that's just one Helldiver geek's thoughts out here with a microphone and a YouTube channel. As always, I'd love to hear your feedback on everything we just laid out there. I want to see this game progress. I want to see it just keep getting better and keep building momentum. And it just feels like we keep taking a step forward and a step back and a step forward and a step back. We're never losing ground. We're never gaining ground. We're just kind of keeping the status quo. And from what I enjoy in this game is far greater than just settling for status quo. Remember to hit subscribe and ring that notifications bell so you receive my latest upload alerts. Also, all my socials and all links to today's sources can be found down in the video description. Until the next one, this is 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏